life is full of adventures.
Do you take this man to be your husband?
I do. Welcome home.
We did it.
He has your eyes.
He's perfect.
Make the most of them all with PenFed checking and savings accounts. Learn more at PenFed.org. Federally insured by NCAA. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed Credit Union.
PenFed's got great rates for everyone.
Why shouldn't I switch to Spectrum Enterprise?
Well, our services meet some of your technology needs.
But not all.
Maybe you have too many.
Listen, I'm switching to Spectrum Enterprise because they'll be a true partner, and I can't run this network without one.
I think you can. Our clients always do.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us. Visit enterprise.spectrum.com/iHeart to connect with a technology expert.
All right, it's Coyote Mosley of HBCU Legends on Sports Illustrated. I'm here this morning on a Saturday morning, July 20th, with Coach Daryl Steward. What's going on, Cole?
Yeah, how you doing today, Mr. Mosley?
I'm doing good, man. Saturday, it's a little overcast out here in Houston, in H-Town, but it's, I think it signifies to a loss of a legend that we just had. She did not graduate from a HBCU, but she was an advocate for HBCUs for most of her 30-year career in Congress. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee set a high standard for excellence and no nonsense lawmaking. And sadly, we have to report that she passed away here in the Houston area yesterday, July 19th, at the age of 74 of pancreatic cancer. And I know firsthand what she did for Texas Southern as well as Prairie View A&M. Each year at the Labor Day Classic, she was there. At a lot of the sporting events around the Houston area, she was here, especially the HBCU related events. It didn't matter if it was a basketball or football game. She was in attendance in support of our colleges and universities and student athletes. So this is a tribute to you, Sheila Jackson Lee. Coach, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, man, one of our outstanding leaders, she's done a lot of great things throughout the African-American communities, colleges, and just being a great advocate for the whole state of Texas. Sheila Jackson Lee is going to go down as one of the best to do it. And, anytime we have one of our greats like this to pass, it's always a sad occasion. But my prayers and my condolences goes out to the family.
Yeah. Sheila Jackson Lee, she was married. Her husband, Yulin Lee, was a law professor and VP of Student Affairs for the University of Houston. They had 2 children as well. And she was an AKA. That's one thing a lot of people don't realize. She was an AKA and a part of the Lynx.
And shout out to the AKAs, Kamala Harris, Sheila Jackson Lee, Glenda Glover. A lot of AKAs are in big positions throughout the United States. So shout out to the AKAs this morning.
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, like I said, she may not have been directly an HBCU graduate herself, but she was a staunch proponent for HBCU and the rights for HBCUs. So, Coach, I got to just say this one thing, man. I was setting up an HBCU. It wasn't an HBCU. It was more like a educational job training program at my church, Good Hope Missionary Baptist Church in 3rd Ward, Houston. And I was told by Pastor Cofield, Dr. Cofield, hey, go to this meeting. So I went to this meeting, right? And I wanted to introduce myself to Sheila Jackson Lee and let her know I was there on behalf of the church. Right. So she said, so you are with Dr. Cofield? I said, yes, I'm here to represent the church. Stay after this meeting. I need you to come in and we're going to have another meeting after this. And I want you in there. I was like, looking, I was like, okay, what's this meeting, right?
Yeah.
Man, she said, all right, come on in. I sat down and I'm looking at the dignitaries that are around the table, right? And these are some very high level ministers and from the Houston area in the African American community. And she sits down at this table. The lights were off. All you had was like the light from the window coming through, the sunshine coming through this window. And she sat down at this table. Let me tell you one thing right now. Man, she went into these guys about a law that was supposed to be passed in Houston. Of course, the GOP had their take on what the law should be and how it was going to only affect the prominent neighborhoods of the city of Houston, but the more disenfranchised neighborhoods were going to be negatively impacted by the drainage. And, Houston floods, guys. So, and that's what her thing was. She was like, we've got to get the word out. We got to be the champions of cause. You lead your parishes or your churches or whatever you want to call it, and you tell them they got to get out and vote against this. My God. But she wasn't saying it. She used those colorful words, man, but she let them know that they weren't doing enough to be unified. And and you look at the state of parties, you would say you have one unified party, you have one ununified party, and that's when you could just see the leadership that she took. And she took that leadership many a time up until her death. I know she had an unsuccessful run for the mayoral campaign against John Whitmire here in the Houston area. But Sheila Jackson Lee, she was a champion for a lot of the causes in 3rd Ward, Houston, which is part of her 18th congressional district. And she made herself known. She graduated from Jamaica High School in Queens. Wow. She was down. She got a poli-science degree from Yale University in 1972, and she got her Juris Doctorate from the University of Virginia Law School. And my cousin got her JD from UVA as well. So very, very accomplished lady, and she's going to be very well missed. So that's enough about Sheila Jackson Lee from my end. Coach, let's talk about what's happening in HBCU sports right now. When we look at the situation at Talladega College with the young ladies who are fighting to keep their program in gymnastics alive, and now we're getting reports about St. Augustine's. They may be having a merger with Shaw University. Talk a little bit about that right now.
Well, I'll go right in with the big story, and that's the merger with St. Augustine and Shaw. I'm told it will be a huge economic impact for the city of Raleigh, roughly over $500 million if it happens. And so, this is what we talk about, Kyle, with leadership. This is why leadership is so important. This is why it's so important to choose the right leader. And because I think St. Augustine put themselves in this predicament, bad leadership, mismanagement of funds over the years. And that's all about choosing the wrong leader. And this is a way, and I commend the city officials, the mayor of Raleigh. I thought it was a great idea. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of people that are saying that St. Augustine could have been saved. And they probably could have. But anytime it's so close to Shaw University, and shout out to Shaw University, is one of those universities that have really survived the storm. I mean, I know they're in downtown Raleigh. It puts them in a better predicament than a lot of other those schools in that particular conference. So I just think right now, on that end, that it's a great deal. Now, this is the problem. You're gonna really have to find a true CEO, a true leader that can handle, because enrollment's gonna go up. You're dealing with a much larger campus, and you probably going, from what I'm hearing, sports-wise, you're probably gonna be in the MEAC division, which you're gonna need a credible coach. And so, I think that's a great idea. Let's see over the next couple of weeks or when they meet again that if it'll pass. But I think a lot of other, some high schools, Kyle, if they're in 5 and 10 minute range away from each other, they're merging because of the inflation, bills. I mean, it makes no sense if you're that close and one school is doing well and the other one's not. I just think it's a great idea, and let's hope that something good comes out of it.
Yeah. Let's hope so, because I know the university reported they were shutting down their football programs. Last year, they had a lot of problems with the football program. They didn't have a place to practice, and the coach went on record and also had an interview on one of the local stations about some of the issues that they were having, and it was not very compliant, so to speak, when it comes to NCAA rules and things to that nature. So he lost his job. They shut down the program, and it just doesn't look like they're able to get back on their feet financially. And a lot of HBCUs at this moment are struggling financially, and we can talk more and more about that, but we got to keep this sports centered. When it comes to fielding a team in the MEAC and trying to get to that level, looks like a lot of teams are kind of shifting toward the MEAC. You have Morehouse has an interest in getting into the MEAC as well, and we can touch base on that. But hopefully Shaw as well as St. Augustine's are able to get their ducks in a row and see how they can be able to just become solvent once again as universities, as well as teaching and training the young people who want to be educated. And that's the bottom line, right?
You're absolutely right. The budgets are bigger now, Mr. Mosley. And I think for some strange reason, when the budget gets over 100 million or over 50 million, we kind of shy away. And I don't know what's the reason for that. This is why you see a lot of head coaches going into administration, because they're used to the budget. I remember, my largest budget in high school probably was like 15 million, but what I'm saying is the larger budgets are in place, and a lot of people don't really know budgeting. And so the turnover in leadership right now, budgeting is a big part of it. And so we gotta get ready for that, because the bigger the job, the more money you're gonna get. And so government now is putting a lot of money into colleges, and we just have to be up for the challenge, Mr. Mosley.
Definitely. All right, we will be back in a few minutes to talk about some of the goings on in HBCU sports. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in North Carolina A&T, as well as what's happening in the MEAC as well. I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends, here with Coach Daryl Steward, and we should be back in one moment. All right, Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. Guys, if you have trouble with pain management and you've been trying to figure out what's going on with your system and your body, the older you get, the more bumps and bruises you get. I can attest to that because I'm feeling it these days. If you're in the Madison, Alabama area, go see the pain and consultants over at Alabama Pain, and that's with Dr. Norman McCoomer, who is a HBCU grad. He's from Morehouse College, and the Pain and Rehab Consultants of Alabama. You can go online and be able to make an appointment. Go to alpainrehab.com, and these guys will be able to try to help you and your family find solutions to your pain issues. All right, Coach. Right now, North Carolina A&T Athletics, they just reported, they just signed a 1-year agreement with Sinclair Broadcasting, and the deal is going to have them broadcast 5 of their home games. That's going to be at Truist Stadium, and it's going to be on linear TV. So I think the games in that area comes on cable channel 15, and also there's an over-air channel 48. So to have 5 of their home games being broadcast live is excellent for North Carolina A&T, which is a program that has been kind of struggling as of late. Talk about that.
Yeah, man. You know, when I heard the news last night that they were getting a good TV deal out of 5 home games, I thought it was outstanding on that part. I thought it was outstanding on the athletic director's part for sealing the deal. And as you can see, Kyle, it doesn't have to really be your big major outlets, your ESPN, your Fox, your Disney. I believe it's one of the up and coming TV networks. But the deal was great. They have 5 home games, and it'll be televised nationally. So, you know, kudos to them and the job that their athletic administration has done.
Yeah, they're going to have Spencer Turkin, who is a great play-by-play guy. He's going to be there, as well as Damian Banks. He's going to be the analyst for them, and it's going to be on Flow Sports Stream as well. So the Aggies have an opportunity to be able to kick off their home games against Winston-Salem State, and that's going to be on Saturday, September 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So they're also going to have their what they dub as the greatest homecoming on earth. It's going to be broadcast there when they take on the Hampton Pirates on Saturday, October 19th at 1 p.m. So if you are one of those Aggies and you want to see your program restored to prominence, you get a chance to see it firsthand on cable as well as the local TV show. So that's going to be excellent for the Aggie faithful that they will have this deal coming out. And next week, the MEAC will be kicking off their football media day, which will be held in Norfolk, Virginia on July 23rd at 12 p.m. Coach, we talked a little bit about this last podcast, and we're talking about a MEAC that is going to face some challenges this year, and it's going to be a little bit closer than a lot of people think. So I wanted us to kind of talk about who we believe will be the top dogs of the MEAC and do our own preseason predictions as far as the predicted order of schedule in the MEAC. Are you game?
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to talk about that. But before we go into that, today, the girls on the gridiron in the MEAC, they're going to have a special guest. None other, not today, I'm sorry, tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow. None other than NFL legend Michael Vick. So the MEAC is hosting the Girls of the Gridiron Flag Football Clinic, and Michael Vick is going to be there because I think his daughter's at one of these institutions, if I'm not mistaken, Coach. So the 4-time NFL Pro Bowler, as well as we just know Michael Vick for you just say his name, that's enough. Right. So what do you think about Michael Vick making that appearance for the MEAC?
Michael Vick, a legend, man. He's one of our pioneers from the NFL that does an outstanding job in the community. He overcame a lot of adversity. And I mean, just a true leader, true legend throughout the NFL community. Anytime you can get these guys to come in and share their wealth, I commend him for that, man. He's from the Virginia area. I commend these universities. More and more universities need to reach out and model this type of model for their university, Kyle, because Michael Vick was one of the first $100 million quarterbacks in the in the NFL.
That's
so
right.
I mean, kudos. He's a brilliant mind of sports business, kind of like Shaq and Penny Hardaway, those guys. So, I just commend them on reaching out to him and getting the job done.
All right. Guys, you get to see Michael Vick in person in Norfolk at Norfolk State's campus with this clinic that they're having, and it's sponsored by the MEAC. So get a chance if you're in the Norfolk area, Hampton area, Newport News area, make your way to Norfolk. It's not too far. So check it out. All right, guys, 2023, the football standings for the MEAC was Howard University on top at number 1, especially after that late season defeat of North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central was second. Both of those guys had a 4-1 conference record. Then you had South Carolina State at 3-2, Morgan State at 3-2, Norfolk State at 1-4, and Delaware State at 0-5. North Carolina Central had a 9-3 record overall. Howard 6-6. South Carolina State 5-6. Morgan State 4-6, and Norfolk State at 3-8, and Delaware State at 1-10. This season, Coach, what's your predicted order of finish for these teams?
Well, right now I'm gonna say this, Kyle. Looking at Howard and what they have accomplished last year and beating the champs North Carolina Central. Due to the fact Central is in really a turmoil situation right now, and people don't understand. You got to have the money to stay on top. Let's just be frank. You just got to have the money. And looking at their financial situation, I don't know how that's going to affect them. I mean, you could look at it as it probably affected them because they lost to Howard late part in the season last year. Mm-hmm. From what I'm told, Central has, in the last 3 years since COVID, they have been in a great financial uproar, but Coach Trey Oliver has just been keeping it in the road. And if that's the case, Kyle, I'm going to have to go with Howard as number 1 right now.
Ooh.
Because I know Coach Oliver wants to coach his team at a high level, and coaching them at a high level is going to cost money. And so I think the writers and the sports journalists got this one right. I mean, in the top 3 order, I think it's going to be Howard at 1, Central at 2, South Carolina State, Norfolk State, Morgan State, and then Delaware State. So I just think this order of top 3, people want to say, why you got Coach Kingsbury 3, but I think in South Carolina State, you got the players. Coach Berry has to, revamp his offense, which he's an offensive guy. And so that's why I put him, at 3rd, his first year. Is that a lot of pressure? I don't think it is for a guy like him. He knows how to win in championships. He's been in championship programs. So, I think this order of fashion is right, Kyle.
Ooh, interesting. Coach has Howard, Central, South Carolina State. Those are his top 3. Then you have Norfolk over Morgan State. Now let's talk about that. That's an interesting dynamic. I know Odom's your boy now.
Yeah, I mean, man, when you look at and everybody, Coach Odom's was a big topic in the SWAC, man. Kind of like in McNair. You look at what he's done since he's left Southern, and now he's going to Norfolk. It's kind of a shock to the HBCU community. So, I just think he's going to, turn the program around. Now, a lot of people say when you going into strange situations, I'm gonna say strange. I'm not gonna say loser, but when you go into strange situations, it's gonna take time. And we all know, that's not a football area. So it takes, a little more time. And I think right now, you got to give him his due diligence, give him time, and so he can turn the program around. And that's what he's doing. So that's why I kind of, moved him up. I don't think he's going to be dead last. Now, Morgan has a good program as well. But, you got to give that coach time as well. I mean, because anytime you're going into struggling program, I know the HBCU way, Kyle, is everybody wants to win right now.
Right.
If you don't have the funds, let's just be realistic. It's not going to happen like that. So kudos to those programs, and let's just give those coaches time to turn those programs around.
No, you're not going to get off that easy. No. You're going to tell me that the Spartans have a better program than what Damon Wilson is going to have at Morgan State?
I think so. I think this year, this is year 4 for.
It is.
Yeah, this is year 4 for Coach Odoms, and he they paid a hefty price to get him there, and so I think the pressure, he responds to pressure. Being a coach that went to the SWAC championship 4 years in a row, he responds to pressure. And I think he's going to do a better job than last year at Norfolk State.
Okay. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Look, nothing against Coach Odom, because I highly respect Coach Odom as well, man. He's a great guy. Matter of fact, at the HBCU Legacy Bowl, I did not notice him, when he was talking to some guys and while the workouts were going on the day before the game, and I had to do a double take. I said, man, it's Coach Odom. Lost a lot of weight, looking slim and trim, all dapper. So I was like, all right, Coach, I see. Looking good, man. So I always say, this is my favorite saying, if you don't have a quarterback, you ain't got what?
You ain't got nothing.
You ain't got nothing. So who is the quarterback? You have Otto Coons, who is the senior out of Columbus, Ohio. He's returning. Then you have Cameron Sapp, who is the red shirt senior out of Jacksonville, Florida. Previously, he was with Florida A&M. Then you have kid Nolan James. He's a Hampton, Virginia native, and he's a sophomore. He's one of their quarterbacks. And you have a young man named Jalen Daniels. Nope, it's not the Commanders, Jalen Daniels. It's Jalen Daniels out of Arizona, which is odd, but he is a sophomore. And you have a guy named Parker Lancaster, who's a redshirt freshman. So looks like the competition is going to be between Coons as well as Cameron Sapp at this time. And I think Coons may be the front runner in this, but Sapp may push him for an opportunity. We shall see. That's all I'm saying. Sapp is a interesting prospect because he's a 6'2" guy. Like I said, redshirt senior. He played in 7 games and started 2 of them last season. And
you talking about the young man from Howell, right?
No, I'm talking about Cameron Sapp from Norfolk State.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Norfolk State I'm speaking of. So he was second on the team in passing. He had 32 of 61 for 533 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Not a bad ratio, every 1 out of 2, 3 out of 1, whatever, 3 for 1, whatever you want to say. But anyway, I don't know, man. I still have to believe if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have much. And, Coons is that big guy, 6'3". He has a booming arm. He last played at Eastern Illinois. Last year, out of 10 games, he started 9. He went 96 of 192 for 1,244 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's the concern right there. Right. But he also has a big leg on him. He can be able to run the football. He gained 261 yards on 53 rushing attempts, and he scored 3 touchdowns. I saw the game between Norfolk and Morgan State, I believe it was last year. They kept going back and forth. It was a seesaw type of situation. But Coons still is going to have to hold off that challenge from Sapp. So we will see who Coach Odom's picks for his top dog behind center, right?
You gotta understand this too, Mr. Mosley. With Norfolk being the only school having a quarterback to return, Howard coming in with a new quarterback. We don't know who their signal caller is going to be. Central, new signal caller. Mm-hmm. South Carolina State, new signal caller.
Well, South Carolina State did bring over their boy from Benedict, though. Go ahead.
Okay. So, but still to that particular league, he's new. Mm-hmm. And so, just because what he did in Benedict doesn't mean he's going to do that in MEAC.
But he still has familiarity with the offense, right?
Well, yeah, but, players, the Jimmys and Joes are bitter. They're bigger, they're bigger, faster, and stronger. Yeah, so, but, and that's why I think this is a more dangerous pick, because when you look at these teams with the new quarterbacks, and then Coach Odom sitting right there, he could slip. He could do the Prairie View number and slip in that top spot. If you don't, what we say, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have nothing. Nothing. He has one of the top quarterbacks in the conference. So, let's see how this MEAC thing plays out.
All right. So let's talk about the Howard Bison. Right now, Zachary Yeager, young man, 6'2", out of Minneapolis. He's a senior quarterback. Then you have Deshaun Scroggins, who is a sophomore redshirt guy out of Las Vegas. And then you have Caden Cobb, the 6'2" quarterback. He's also a redshirt sophomore out of Naperville, Illinois. And you have a redshirt senior. His name is Jalen Tolbert. He's a 6'2" guy, a little light at 175, out of Hollywood, Florida. And then you have Sean Mitchell, who is a junior out of Atlanta University, 6 feet tall. And you have Savon Briggs, a redshirt freshman out of Silver Spring, Maryland. You know, they produce some pretty good guys out of Silver Springs. He's a quarterback as well. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks that are listed on the roster for Dr. Scott and those guys. Man, talk about that, man. You got 6 quarterbacks. That's a lot of arms that want to be fed.
I'm gonna tell you like this as a coach: when you got 6 quarterbacks in the room, that means you're in trouble. You know, you don't know which one of them is gonna play. You don't know which one of them can handle the playbook, and so and that's what I'm talking about. You know, when you're coming into that top spot and you don't know who your signal caller is going to be, it not only poses a problem for the head coach, but it poses a problem for the team because they have to find out which leader we can follow. It's very important. That's when I tell coaches your spring has to be important because your spring carry overs into your summer and you're going into fall camp with you don't know who the starter. It's kind of like those SWAC coaches that said, you know, hey, we don't have a starting quarterback, but the press picked one of the quarterbacks as first team.
All right, let's talk about the SWAC later. Let's stay on the MEAC. Let's stay on the MEAC.
I mean, it's gonna be a tricky situation on the MEAC right now. But like I said, those top schools that we picked, Howard, Central, and South Carolina State, they don't have starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So with Coach Owens being right there at 4, I just think he could slip into that top spot. So
I doubt it, but okay. I doubt it, you know, but I have been wrong before. Looks like Jashawn Scroggins, the young man out of Las Vegas, who is a redshirt sophomore. Last season behind Quentin, he did show up and played in 4 games for the Bison. He was 4 out of 6 passing for 61 yards. He had his longest completion for 38 yards against Harvard. He also had a 152.1 passing efficiency rating. But, I mean, look, he was sitting behind Williams, and Williams was his top dog for the past couple of seasons. So it's hard to really, like you say, who's going to be there to lead the Bison this season, man? That's a hard one, bro. I'm just saying.
You know those first, somebody's going to play a Division I opponent, so it's going to be tough.
Right.
And let's just hope, your fresh quarterback comes out of it. But, a lot of our schools, they end up playing Division I schools early up on in the season. And for a new quarterback, that's going to be tough. So, that's why I say Coach Odoms could slip into that top spot.
So you're saying that there's a chance that they can slip in through attrition, so to speak. I'm not going to take anything away from you on that. That is always a possibility. You've seen people knock themselves off and other people knock other people off, and you just ready and primed and waiting to be able to take over that spot. And that could be the case for Coach Odoms as well as the Spartans this season. But I'm still not buying it, Coach. I have Central still at the top spot. And then I have South Carolina State at number 2, then Howard, then Morgan State, then Norfolk and Delaware State, which they have a new football coach, if I'm not mistaken, too, right? And so they're trying to bring everything back up into running. But I think Chennisberry is going to shock some people this season and would not be surprised. I'm just saying it. I would not be surprised if they could possibly become the Celebration Bowl representative out of the MEAC this season.
Wow.
That's right. I said it.
Wow. Well, I guess your take on this is like mine when you put him at number 2. man, that's a big jump. That's a big jump for South Carolina State. I think it's going to still take time with him there. First year, winning season 7-4. That's why I looked at it 6-5. But if it's one person that can do it,
It's Chinnis Berry.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to move on from our predicted order of finish. And we know that there's going to be Media Day attendees, and we're just going to go over these young men from the Delaware Hornets. You got Charles Brown Jr. as well as Jordan Hull. And Coach Lee Hall is going to be there with his squad. And the Spartans, Dawson Oldham's coach, with Akeem Wright and Devon Allen. And the Bison with Larry Scott. He's going to have Darius Fox as well as Kenny Gallup Jr., who was the Aeneas Williams Award winner for 2023 season. So congratulations to him. He might be one of those NFL players that we start seeing next season when it comes to the draft. I think he's very draftable. He's a very smart young man as well. And of course, you got Trey Oliver, North Carolina Central. He's going to have Joaquin Davis as well as Jaden Taylor available for the media. Damon Wilson over at the Morgan State Bears will have Taj Smith as well as Elijah Williams, and Chinnis Berry of South Carolina State. He's not a rookie, y'all. Coach is not a rookie. That's all I'm saying. Coach is not a rookie. You talking about the two-time back-to-back Division II HBCU national champion out of Benedict College, Coach Chinnis Berry. And he's going to have Nick Tace as well as Aaron Smith along with him for the student athletes in attendance. All right, guys, that's going to be on Tuesday. We'll have some reports coming our way from that as well. Now, Coach, let's go into the SWAC, the wacky SWAC.
Wacky wax.
The wacky smack, But anyway, man, SWAC they got their own flavor. So, and it's nothing to take away from the intrigue that we always have with the SWAC. Of course, Dr. McClellan believes that the SWAC is already a super conference. I remember a couple of years ago he said it, and we already believe we're a super conference, so we don't have nothing to worry about. The East, Alabama State, Florida A&M, Jackson State, Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Mississippi Valley State. Out of those 6 teams, Coach, who's the top quarterback?
Right now, you got to say Andrew Bynum.
All right, let's stop it right there. Who's the next quarterback?
I would say Jacoby and Morgan from Jackson State.
Stop it right there. Do you know the rest of the quarterbacks out of those 6 teams?
No, you don't.
All right, 2. All right, Alcorn State, Prairie View A&M, Grambling State, Southern, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Texas Southern. Out of those 6 teams, who's your top quarterback?
Definitely Miles Crossley at 1.
Who's your second quarterback?
I'm going to have to take Jace Wilson.
Jace Wilson, okay. Texas Southern. Who's your third?
I don't know.
You don't know. Oddly enough, you didn't say Noah Barton out of Southern University, who was at the Bayou Classic, led the Grambling charge. The Southern guys to win, right? So
Right.
This is what I'm saying. So we have been only able to peg 5 quarterbacks out of 12.
Right.
For the whole conference that people have knowledge of, right? How comfortable are you if you're a coach, the other 7 coaches that you don't really know who your quarterback is going to be starting in less than a month and a half?
Yeah, I was talking to one of the coaches, Mr. Mosley, and he shared this with me. Um, the recruiting aspect of quarterbacks right now is with NIL has changed tremendously. And so if you don't have a big NIL budget now and you're trying to get a top quarterback, which they all are trying to get a top signal call, the recruiting changes. They have to, look at the next best guy that is willing to come and be in their developmental program. And so talking with this particular coach, he just said it's been tough on the quarterback side. This has been the toughest thing for a head coach to be in, because when you look at those top quarterbacks that's coming, Miles Crowley, he came in under Hugh Jackson, which the NIL deal wasn't into effect. And then you have Jace Wilson, came in under a different coach. And Jacoby Morgan, as the guys that came in on the East as well, came in under different coaches. NIL deal wasn't in effect. And so the whole approach to recruiting now has changed. And so when he told me that, I looked at it differently. I said, wow, you're going to have to take a different approach at looking at getting quarterbacks now, because it's not going to be that simple and easy, because you're not getting that top kid because the NIL has attached themselves with the top kid. And most of our schools right now do not have the big NIL budget for their top kid. And so quarterbacks right now are a problem in HBCUs, not just, the SWAC, but all conferences.
Right now, we don't have a starter. We got Lucas. They are transferring from URA by way of Arkansas. We got Cam Peters again. That's going to be competing for the job.
Okay, I'm right here. I didn't know if you heard Bubba McDowell. I was just playing his tape. Right now, we don't have a starter.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I switch to Spectrum Enterprise?
Well, our services meet some of your technology needs.
But not all.
Maybe you have too many.
Listen, I'm switching to Spectrum Enterprise because they'll be a true partner, and I can't run this network without one.
I think you can. Our clients always do.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us. Visit enterprise.spectrum.com/iHeart to connect with a technology expert.
Be warned that once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink from McDonald's and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink from McDonald's is, you may create drink envy. Because there are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's.
For a morning brew that really creates a stir, get any size iced coffee, including caramel and French vanilla, for just 99 cents before 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Be warned that once you pick up a refreshingly cold drink from McDonald's and people see just how refreshingly cold that drink from McDonald's is, you may create drink envy. Because there are drinks, then there are drinks from McDonald's.
For a morning brew that really creates a stir, get any size iced coffee, including caramel and French vanilla, for just 99 cents before 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You go to Chris Dishman. Right now, nobody's a starter. Everybody's competing for a job. That's what he said.
Right.
Mickey Joseph, we don't have a starter.
Right.
Alcorn, no starter. Southern, Terrence Graves, no starter.
Right.
Now, Pine Bluff, Mackay, I think he's coming back as the starter, right?
Right.
Bethune-Cookman, they don't know who their starter. Mississippi Valley State, don't know who their starter. Coach Marin, remember he said he doesn't have a starter.
Sorry.
We are talking about 6 of these now, out of these, because not Bethune, but Arkansas and Pine Bluff knows. So we have 6 out of 6 know who their starting quarterback will be, but the others don't. And we're talking about month and a half ahead of kickoff and week 0. But it's really a shocking predicament to have in a super conference not to know who your signal caller will be for your football team. So that's the concern I have, but I don't think these coaches look very concerned.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them have 3 and 4 quarterbacks. Just like the Howard quarterback room's going to be packed, a lot of these coaches have their quarterback room packed as well. And they just don't really know, specifically because these are not NIL quarterbacks.
All right, so, but Coach, come on, man. NIL is not brand new. Okay, NIL is not brand new. And I know when I broke the news about the young man who came from, he was with that program up north, the FCS program, and he was
North Dakota State.
North Dakota State.
Great example.
And he came in, right. He was on the sideline for PV's spring training.
Right.
He gave a verbal commitment that he was going to sign with Prairie View.
Right.
And once we released that report, McNeese got wind of it, had a bigger NIL, swooped in and lured the money. It's just like he had bigger bait. Right. So when I'm saying now, the NIL, a lack of NIL is not an excuse any longer. And a lot of people say, well, hey, Mosley, how can you say that? It's not an excuse. Well, it's how you choose to market your team. Let me tell you why. Because Grambling, Mickey Joseph is in a great position because Hugh Jackson had a great relationship with some NIL sponsors. And those people have stayed on in providing good NIL money for the team. You hear me?
Right.
So if they needed a stud quarterback, which Mickey Joseph did transfer in some guys, right? And were able to recruit some young men, I think he's in a good position. So it gives Miles Crawley some competition, right? It also gives them a plan B, so to speak, in case Crawley doesn't, I guess, get acclimated to the new offensive scheme that they have. So what I'm saying is this, guys, we've been NIL's 4 years now or 3 years now. Either way, it's 4 years, but it's 3 years that they've been able to actually put it into play, right? Or more. Because we're talking about Coach Prime back in 2021. So it's 4 years. So where we are right now is that either you market your program or you become a victim of your program.
Great point.
Right? How are you marketing your program? Who are you communicating with? Who are you who are you marketing your program to say, come support our program? Right? So, i.e., and we use this on the Ralph Cooper show all the time, Coach, when we talk about NILs. If you have a city like Houston, Texas, and you have oil all the way around here, you have corporations, you got Fortune 500 companies, you're here in the 4th largest city in the United States of America, you're going to tell me you can't find a few corporate sponsors?
Well, here's the thing. What's going to happen, Mr. Mosley?
Answer that question first, Coach. Okay. You cannot find a few corporate sponsors?
Yeah, that's unexcusable.
That's about it. Now, go on. That's all I'm saying.
No, but here's the problem, and here's why I think a lot of coaches are panicking. You have a losing season. You go in front of your AD. ADs are not going to look at it Your head coach is going to tell you, I didn't have a quarterback because you didn't provide me any NIL money so I can get those top players in the recruiting phase of it. How do we respond to that? Because that question is going to come up when the firing process happens.
So an old radio guy said Cooley, Cassim, Merritt, Robinson, those were the names that got out to get the money for support from the boosters and everybody else. Was it not? It wasn't the athletic directors.
Right.
So as a head coach, the responsibility is to help lead your program. But I think some of the head coaches have to put themselves in a position where it's not solely responsible or on the athletic director, because you're the one who can sell your program better than they can.
Yeah, but to the defense of the head coaches, they can't go out and get $1 million deal and not report it to the ADs.
Oh, I understand that, but all I'm saying, but yeah, you're right. It has to be a work in tandem, right? Because the athletic department is the one that has to be able to bring in the check. But you, as the head coach, can you not go and market your program?
Yeah, that's without a doubt.
All right, that's all I'm saying. If you know your program better than AD Joe Blow, go ahead and market your program. So I don't know, man. It's going to be.
Is not, you're not taking it as an excuse.
I can't take NIL, not having the NIL as an excuse if we've been on this road if you've been walking the same road for the past 4 seasons and you see other people sprinting on that road and you still walking the road, when are you going to start jogging at least?
Right. Well, that's what we always say here. Business is business. If you don't know how to do the business deals, like Ralph Cooper say, get out of the business.
The NCAA and the power conferences voted to sign off on this settlement agreement in May, right?
Right.
They agreed to pay $2.77 billion back in damages to the student athletes over 10 years. The second piece of this is that the settlement is revenue sharing. So the institutions must have to pay at least $20 to $22 million of the annual allocation to the student athletes as well. When it comes to a conference like the SWAC and MEAC, Dr. McClellan said, and I want to get it right, in his meeting with us, that they don't even understand fully, and some Power 5 schools don't, 4 schools, there's no more Power 5, 4 schools don't really clearly understand how this payback system is going to work. Right. But they're being forced into doing it. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up to just kind of educate the people who really don't understand the power of this NIL stuff, right? Not stuff, but the business. It's a business.
Right.
NILs, if you were talking about $2.77 billion in back damages to be paid, and our kids in HBCUs are nowhere even near probably 1% of that. Right. They didn't have any, I didn't see any of these HBCU schools being marketed in like a EA Sports game or this game or that game or the jersey sales from the NCAA and all this other stuff. Did you see people walking around with certain people's uniforms other than just like Darius Leonard, probably out of the South Carolina State, or a Bruce Eugene or somebody like that, right? You didn't really see anybody with big names that these schools from the HBCU side is profiting on, right? And now they're being hit with this price tag. They got to pay back millions of dollars. We're talking about conferences that already are cash strapped. We just reported how a couple of schools well, 3 schools now are really in some financial straits, right? All right. Now, let's go to schools who have a prominent name, a Grambling, a Southern, Jackson State, Florida A&M. Do you believe that they have good NIL collectives that are now being attached to them? Yes. Do you believe that their budgets can be where they can fight these recruiting battles and be able to retain top talent? What's your thoughts there?
Well, I'm going to say some of them now. Okay. Because when you look at the financial problems, just say Florida and them, LeBron James saving them. They just got over the hump. And so I have to agree with you totally, man. When we talk about these budgeting and getting our schools out of the hole year in and year out, it's a big challenge. And if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the donors, if you're not connected with the money people, you're gonna be in trouble. And so I commend these ADs, presidents right now, and the head coaches, because it's a lot of pressure. And so, we have to, but with so many of our African Americans, that's why I tell coaches, you got to depend on your city officials, your mayors. We got so many black mayors that are in these areas of HBCUs with big budgets, Mr. Cooper. And you got to depend on them. And the negotiation process has to be in line with these mayors, because you're going to need their help. Let's just face it.
Right.
But are we doing that is the big question.
All right.
I just don't think a school like, for instance, I'm going to let you speak on this. School like Florida A&M should have no excuse.
We named 4 prominent schools right off the bat.
But this is why I say Florida A&M. Florida A&M is in a rich state. Okay, you never, even though they're in Power 5, you never hear any financial troubles out of Florida State, which is in
Florida A&M.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And so, you just got so many big resources. And are we doing what we supposed to do to get connected with the money? Now, you take, for instance, Grambling, kind of rural, but has the national branding name. I mean, are we getting out to those money people connected? Southern University, African American mayor, big budget, right down the street from Exxon Oil. Are we doing what we supposed to do to get connected to the money? I don't think so, Mr. Mosley. I think that's where the problem lies in it.
Okay. And this is where, how do I say this? When you have a program and your program needs money,
right?
Do you sit on your hands and pray and wait? Oh, somebody's gonna bail us out, or do you get aggressive? When are you going to start getting aggressive? That's the question. Coach Prime showed from day one in his program that we were going to get aggressive.
Right.
He left the blueprint. He keeps saying that. Remember, Coach kept on saying, "I left the blueprint." Who has taken that blueprint and gotten aggressive? Right? All right. So look what Greg Sankey said, the SEC commissioner. We are literally working to make what we normally let me put it. This is kind of weird how you said it. We are literally working to make what we would normally be a decade's worth of change in a matter of months. He's talking about the NILs, right?
Right.
We're not in the world either where we're allowed to focus on just one issue or even one small set of issues at a particular time. This is massive. So what he's saying is the winds of change are coming so fast that we've got to be able to navigate through a lot of different systems, right? It's like it's out of the norm. So how are you going to be aggressive enough, and how are you going to be able to educate yourself? So you brought up the point earlier where the coaches have to be in working with the athletic department, right, to be able to make it happen. But now the importance is, in Pete Nakos of On 3 stated this in his article about the settlement. Let me get it right. He said the importance is going to be about the NIL collectives. We've got to have we as HBCU programs have to be able to attach ourselves to aggressive NIL collectives now. Right. He said the NIL collectives are expected to remain crucial for top programs, helping win recruiting battles. The top spending donor-driven groups are pushing annual budgets of $13 to $20 million. These are just collectives.
Wow.
And the collectives are raising that money to be able to put into the recruiting efforts. So on the HBCU level, let's say just a tenth of this. Do you think $1.3 million to $2 million could help a Prairie View, can help a Howard, can help a Morgan State, could help us? What Coach, you talk about the challenges Coach Odoms is having over at Norfolk, right?
Right.
Do you not think that can help?
Yeah.
Where are these collectives that you can go and get or start forming with these national brands? I think Grambling has a collective. I think Florida A&M has a national donors or whatever. I forget what. They have so many different foundations, but I think one of them is a collective. If I'm not mistaken, please correct me, guys. But all I'm saying, Coach, we can't keep on sitting on the pine, being sidelined and thinking we can't get into the game. We can get into the game.
Yeah.
What are we working harder to get into the game? Are we working? It's just like a student athlete. If you want to play ball, you got to put in that extra time to be able to get into the game.
Yeah.
We can do it. We can do it.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Mosley. I'm glad you said that, because me and Coach Spears was talking the other day, and he, it's getting to be getting to be.
When he said Coach Spears, he means Coach Melvin Spears, former head coach of Grambling State University. Go ahead.
It's getting to be a global business with sports now, and if you're not into that landscape, and this is the reason why I say this, we was listening to Coach Prime, and Nebraska is one of their big games. Nebraska received $20 million, and I did not know they played overseas last year. But for one game, and this is why I said you got to get into the game. They played in Amsterdam and received a check for $20 million for one game.
Who did they play?
I want to say they played Northwestern.
Really? Wow.
I didn't even know they played overseas. But this is what I'm saying. What you're saying is a great point. If you're scared to get into the game, if you don't know how to get into the game, you need to ask, because guess what? You're right. We're going to get left behind if you don't get into the game. And if you don't want to get into the game, just say, hey, it was great. I got a great experience, but I'm probably gonna have to take a high school job because I don't really want to be a part of it, or I don't know how to move it forward. You see what I'm saying? We can't just sit back and miss out. It's the kids now, recruiting the kids, putting the best product on the field. It's no excuse. You're going to have that NIL, Mr. Mosley. I just think right now it's no way around it. And you got to be fair to the coaches.
Yeah, this is from the gist.com. That's GIST.com. They're talking about NILs as well. Even NIL haters have to admit that it can be pretty dang cool to see college stars in brand campaigns. They're talking about the EA Sports college thing that has come back, right? But who was left out of those games initially and still being left out is the HBCUs. Now, my son walked me through yesterday. He said, well, FAMU and Grambling and all these guys can have a workaround to be able to download their teams onto the program, right? But get this. From what he told me, you've got to be able to know the players. And I think you got to be the one to give them the codes or the, I guess certain grades or whatever to make them special or whatever. I don't know how that works, man. Guys, please educate me because I don't play these games. But anyway, why aren't we in these games? But games like this, reason why they stopped the game, remember people, the reason why EA Sports stopped the college game is because the NIL, when Bannon brought his suit against the NCAA to the Supreme Court and won and ended everything, and NIL was born. Right there. They stopped it, but now they figured out a way how they could be able to make money off it. And they figured out a way, the best way to make money off it is to offer these kids from the power schools money. Travis Hunter is getting paid, guys. He's not just on that cover for a reason.
Right.
But are our kids getting paid? No. That's the problem. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, so we're talking about that 2014 lawsuit that changed the game right now. And what they're saying, just now the players they're going to be paid up to $600 to have their name, image, and likeness in the EA Sports game. Right. And get this, also they get a free copy of the game. Oh, wow. Really? Go ahead. How many millions of dollars they gonna make off this game, man?
Man, you're right on point, Mr. Moses. I'm looking at it right here. And I can tell you the problem is right now. We have to get into this EA Sports game. For all our athletic directors that are listening right now, EA Sports, as of 2024, is worth $39 billion. And I remember when the video game first came out, when it was HBCU teams on there. It was the #1 video game in the world.
Yeah.
But right now, as today, it's a $39 million business with Madden. So we got to get into that game. We got to get into that space. And who knows what we can get out of it, Ms. Mosley.
Yeah. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. I think we got to extend the program a little bit further. Maybe we can just make it a whole new program of his own about this. This is Colin T. Mosley, or HBCU Legends. I'm here with Coach Daryl Steward. It's Coach and Mo on Saturday morning. We'll be back in a minute. All right. Kyle T. Mosley back with Coach Daryl Stewart. We're talking about the NILs and how our HBCUs can possibly get into this financial arms race that's out there. That's what's going on, man. And I love that's what Get Sports stated it as, is a financial arms race. And why can't we be more competitive in getting our kids more of exposure? If you're going to penalize my program and my conference right along with the SEC and Big 10, Big 12, Big this and Big that, why in the world are you not giving us a fair share at the money? And I understood when the former HBCU commissioners, Dr. McClellan, Sonia Steele, Dr. McClellan, SWAC, Sonia Steele, MEAC, Jackie McWilliams, Parker, CIAA, Dr. Holloman, we're talking about SIAC. They all went to Congress last year, lobbied, met with people and officials here and there to be able to understand how this legislation, that NCAA ruling, was going to be counterproductive to the HBCU side. Then to hear Dr. McClellan this past week to say they still don't understand, that's concerning to me. What do you mean you don't understand? They just told you were going to be part of the bill. The NCAA decided, we're going to make it heavy on the big conferences, and the FCSs, y'all still going to have a price tag. When not even the FCSs, this is what's so crazy. The FCSs need to be suing them as well. Well, one FCS school is doing that. Houston Christian University used to be Houston Baptist University. They are suing the NCAA about this and saying, hey, you guys are making us pay for something. We none of our kids even, we didn't even benefit off no NILs or putting our kids out there on for jersey sales or games or anything to that nature. Tell me, how's that fair, Coach?
I think the NCAA right now needs to have a meeting with all 119 athletic directors and see where are they on NIL, or at least, because
they've done it. They've done it already. I do know that. Go ahead.
Here's what I think the problem is. When we're in the hiring process of athletic directors, the old-fashioned way was, let's just make sure they know how to hire coaches.
Right.
Now, it's the 60-40 split is, you got to know business. You got to be a CEO of business. And that's right. That's where the shortage comes in. It's almost like being a doctor, a lawyer. There's always a shortage. A school teacher, there's always a shortage. Okay, where's the shortage coming from? It's come from math. It's come from English. The shortage right now is the business part, just like being a president right now. The business part, these cities are growing. You're talking about Houston, a mega city like that. You got to have some type of business skills. If you don't, you're going to collapse. Or you're talking about Atlanta. These are mega cities that you have to have a business-oriented mindset. If you don't, you're going to collapse as a CEO, Mr. Mosley. And I just think right now, are we getting too big for your lower schools? Your non-Power 5 schools. Is the game getting too big for those schools?
All right. So, Coach, I understand where you're going, and I can agree. Is it getting too big? Yeah, it's only getting too big because you're not trying to. Again, you on that same track, you still walking the track, they're running and sprinting. It's only getting because you're not educating yourself. Are you educating yourself? Are we really educating ourselves? Are we really? Think about this. If we're really educating ourselves, it's no reason why Houston, I'm not picking on Prairie View, and I'm not picking on Texas Southern, because Dr. Granger does a great job and Dr. Goff does a great job over at PV. What I'm saying is these are two prominent institutions in, like you say, a mega city in the United States of America. I believe these are the only HBCUs in one of the largest cities of the whole states, of the whole union, right?
Right.
Why aren't we doing more? Why aren't we getting after it more? And I think it has a lot to do with how are we actually having the resources, or are we actually structuring our athletic departments to be able to get after it? If you have Texas A&M, you have UT, they have their own independent fundraising teams, right?
Right.
That are part of the athletic department, and that's all they do is fundraise. Right. Calling donors every day, dialing.
Right.
What can we learn from that? And so I think sometimes we just got to be able to look at some of the models, say, let's take a chance, put it into place, and after we put it into place, see if it rolls or not. Because right now, if we're not dialing up, look, I've been an executive recruiter for 32 years of my life, man. Right. And one thing is for certain, every day I got to be hunting. If I'm not hunting for the next top recruit for my client, I'm dying.
Right.
And every day as an athletic department, either football, basketball, volleyball, baseball, whatever, you've got to keep on hunting for the next top recruit. You know, and every top recruit is not going to be landed, right? You can't seal the deal with everyone, but you got to be in the game of trying to make it happen.
So great question. Great statement, but listen to this. What you're saying right now is no longer the competing at a local market. You're saying that all our schools now have to change their strategic plan to a global market effect in order to compete. I'm asking, is that what you're saying?
Definitely.
Well, I tell you, I'm being realistic. Right now, how many of our institutions can, well, I don't know.
I don't know if there's any that can, or have, but I'm saying there's a possibility you can piggyback and structure something in your department to do so. Can you not do? Every department on campus has a chance to be able to bring in some students who are on financial aid, right?
Right.
So if you have these kids on financial aid, can you not have them to dial or send out letters or help send out letters and emails to alumni, talk about the importance, how we need to bring money into the You craft the letters, they just help do the legwork of getting it out there and doing the responses and things of that nature. I know when I get calls from Morehouse, it's the students calling me, hey, Mr. Mosley, I'm from the class of 2023, and they're talking to me, asking me to donate, right?
Right.
You can't tell me Florida A&M, Texas A&M. Florida A&M ain't no better than Texas A&M.
Well, I agree with you on that, but I think the whole structure and strategic plan is going to have to change, because
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think we've been detailing, or what I want to say is platforming our students into a global market.
Okay, all right.
You're right. I'm agreeing with you. If everybody else is on that global stage, you can see more and more schools, colleges are playing overseas, getting big checks. I think we're going to have to hit the ground running and have some more professional developments. And hey, if you're not willing to get in these markets, I have to agree with you, Mr. Mosley. We got to hit these markets. If not, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. And here's a secondary problem. And this isn't about getting the money. This is about some of these supposedly NIL companies wanting young people to go on social media and using their influence to be able to promote products, right? There's been some shysters out there. There's been some people out there who have been pretty shady in their approach, and some of these young people are signing NIL deals, and it's not just with big name sports. We talk about gymnastics, we talk about track and field. There's a report on, let me see, what's this, on Bloomberg Law, and the reporter is Nicole Sedick and Ronnie Green, who is the chief investigative reporter. They're talking about there's a new era in sports where students are left with abusive deals, meaning that in one case, a New York clothing brand offered this young gymnast $1,500 to model their apparel. She did it. She jumped on it. She thought it was a great idea. She exchanged emails with the company's director, and a week later, guess what? A $3,000 check arrived. She deposited their check, and guess what? The check bounced.
Wow.
So I've heard of this happening, not just with this young lady, but it's happened with other fake NIL deals that have been out there. So what's going to happen there? There's going to have to be some legislations involved with fake sponsorships as well.
Well, business is business, and that's a part of the negotiation game. That's something that our athletic directors, it puts a lot of pressure on our athletic directors, Ms. Mosley. They have to know the NIL game, where you get a student to come in and they might say, hey, Miss Tiffany Sykes, or hey, Mr. Scott, or hey, Mr. Robinson, help me on my NIL deal. Well, you just can't tell a student athlete, I don't know anything about it, or you go get a lawyer. I mean, it doesn't work like that. And so we have to educate ourselves on that. We got to get into the money deal. But I didn't know this EA Sports deal was that big, Mr. Mosley. And talking about $39 billion. Why don't we create our own video game? I mean, we got HBCU Go. It's a go. Some of our schools have the EA Sports degree platform. I mean, why are we not doing, if it's so much money into this, where you know you're going to get
I read a report 2 years ago, and hopefully I can find this again. There was a young video game producer that was focusing only on HBCUs.
Right.
Don't know what happened to it. You talk about you need millions of dollars, and it's just like how you try to break into the record industry.
Right.
The gaming industry, when it comes to the software development side, has become just that important, like the record industry. It's not about who you know. It's not about the talent that you have. It's about the distribution.
Right.
Can you find the network that's going to help you distribute your game the right way? And that's what really puts it out there. And I don't know if the software wasn't where it should have been, but you can find people to help you out with this. And it takes a lot of resources. And I agree. We may need to be able to focus on, let's bring our own EA Sports, how we can develop our own product instead of just relying on EA Sports or some other entity to be able to bring light to and shine and feature our HBCUs. So let's control the narrative instead of the narrative controlling us. That's the bottom line. All right, Coach, we're about to wrap up here. Man, this has been a good program, dude. We've been talking about a lot of stuff. We covered a lot of territory today, from the MEAC to the SWAC to the gaming, Sheila Jackson League, the St. Augustine's and Shaw merger, everything. But when it comes down to it, it's all about the student athletes, guys. And we want to be able to make sure that we can be able to put them in the right position and give you guys great information on if you're a mom or pop or guardian of a student athlete, how you can position them the right way and help them in their next decision-making process, So that's very important. Don't forget, you can go to Black Sports Insiders. That's myself, and we're going to be able to bring on more people in the fall. What my hope is to be able to bring in people to help talk about just this, NIL deals and the business aspect of HBCU as well as black sports and entertainment as well, and how this could be something profitable for us instead of we being the ones always crying about not having. Let's control the narrative, man. So that's what I want Black Sports Insiders to be about, controlling the narrative. Coach, how can people find you on the World Wide Web?
Tycoon League Sports 2@gmail.com.
Okay, that's how they can be able to send him his fan mail. He loves his fan mail. He reads every bit of it now.
Oh yeah, man, love the fans, Mr. Mosley. Man, they do an outstanding job. All our listeners, and I can't help but to piggyback off of our 60,000 views that we hear with our fans. We love you, fans. If there's anything we can do, a shout out, please email us, let us know. We'll get it out. And hey, man, outstanding show again, Mr. Mosley.
Yeah. When Coach talked about the views, it's the 60,000 downloads from the last show that we produced. And also, we're going to be able to bring in some new sponsors as a result. We had the new sponsor, Pain and Rehab Consultants of Alabama. Don't forget, you can check those guys out at alpain.com. And you can also check out what we do online on Sports Illustrated. It's now HBCU Legends on SI. That's what we're calling it. And you can check us out at si.com/college/HBCU, or you can just go to hbcu.media and that'll take you directly to our site. And you can check us out at HBCU Legends on Facebook, Instagram, as well as x.com. I'm Carol T. Mosley, and you can check me out at KTMOZE on those platforms as well. That's Coach Daryl Steward. Coach.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man, this morning. And you hit it on the note. Shout out to Sports Illustrated, man. I still think it's the number one sports branding in marketing today. So shout out to Sports Illustrated, baby.
Yeah, shout out to them. But also, guys, we're going to have our HBCU Legends that's going to be on the Urban Edge Network. We're going to have our own channel that we're developing there. So stay tuned for the announcements there. I shouldn't have said it, but yeah, we're going to have it out there. we're going to have it out there, man. And I think one thing that's very evident right now, Coach, is that we've got to be the ones controlling the dollars and cents. Brands want to partner with, if you're a media or a podcaster or journalist, somewhere in that, a radio host, I implore you to market yourself. Get these brands wanting to partner and align themselves with you, because it's possible. It is possible. There's too many dollars out there for them to say they can't do so. We just got to be the ones to find out and gain the access. And a lot of times it's a lot of hard work, and guys, it's a lot of rejection. but you can't be afraid of rejection. Not at this stage. All right, Kyle Team Mosley, HBCU Legends, and that's Coach Daryl Steward. Coach, thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Mr. Mosley.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Your solutions don't meet our technology needs.
Well, our services meet some of your technology needs.
But not all.
Maybe you have too many.
Listen, I'm switching to Spectrum Enterprise because they'll be a true partner, and I can't run this network without one.
I think you can. Our clients always do.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us. Visit enterprise.spectrum.com/iHeart to connect with a technology expert.
Why shouldn't I switch to Spectrum Enterprise?
Well, our services meet some of your technology needs.
But not all.
Maybe you have too many.
Listen, I'm switching to Spectrum Enterprise because they'll be a true partner, and I can't run this network without one.
I think you can. Our clients always do.
Demand better. And when they call you unreasonable, call us. Visit enterprise.spectrum.com/iHeart to connect with a technology expert.